Hi everybody. I like to share things on my wall that are really interesting and potentially helpful, and so that's why I'm sharing this. So this past Monday afternoon, I made a delicious salmon lunch, and when about 30 minutes after we ate it, my wife Sonya went into anaphylactic shock, and it was scary, and that's a whole long story. We struggled with that, ended up on steroids, breathing treatments, emergency room, lots of great drama there. I'll spare you that. But we had already intended to go visit this doctor who is a chiropractor, and he does a protocol called NAET, N-A-E-T. I don't know a ton about it. I can't explain the science. I just can't. But I was going to tell you specifically about that visit because when we walked into his office on Friday afternoon, she was still definitely anaphylactic. She was only controlling her symptoms by taking a maximum dose of Benadryl and on steroids. And by the time we walked out of that office, she was changed. Okay, she was not like perfect, but she was becoming symptom free, and within 24 hours she was off the Benadryl, off the steroids. So what in the world was this visit like? Well, we went in and the doctor had her lay down on the table, and she put her arm up like this, and he would say, okay, hold my arm. He would say, push against my arm, and so she would push back, and he would hold her. And while they were doing that, he was handing items to the nurse, and the nurse was placing things over by Sonya's left hand, so she couldn't see it at all. And what happened is, so evidently they have these little vials of items that are in this kit that are common allergens, and they would place one in her hand, place it beside her, and if she continued to have normal strength to resist his push, I guess the assumption is that her body is fine with that particular substance. We had brought several things from the house. The one was the salmon that we really believed was the culprit the whole time, and we don't know if it was because it was fish or because it was from Chile and maybe was farmed in a big fish farm and antibiotic treated and maybe even fed wrong things or whatever. Who knows? We just don't know. But anyway, we had brought that, and so without Sonya being able to see what was being placed there, they placed that fish down by her left side, and she said later she just felt like she couldn't believe what happened, like she just had nothing to push. So they moved that away and put some other things back in, and you could see that she had great resistance to all of these other items, but not that one particular item. So what he did next is he said, we're going to treat you for this one particular item. So he handed her 3 vials. He had her sit up on the table, handed her 3 vials. One, I don't know what was in them. One, supposedly fish was in it. One, he said something about blood and brains. I don't know. That's what he said. And then they actually sat the whole container of raw fish that we had brought, the salmon, right in her lap. And she sat there on the table, and he did this like vibrator, this 2-pointed vibrator down her back. And he would go down, and then he would say, okay, breathe quickly. Okay, now breathe normally. Now hold your breath. And he would do some various things with this, going up and down. Honestly, maybe 2 minutes he did that. Then he had her lay back down. She kept holding all of those items, and he took, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12 acupuncture needles, and he would just pop one on each side of her hand and one like on the inside of her wrist, and then kind of the same configuration on her feet. And then they just said, okay, we're going to just let you sit here for a little bit. And the nurse stayed behind, and she said, now I'm just going to tell you, you're going to feel like you're going to feel the result of this clearing that is happening. You're not going to feel amazing, maybe even feel a little flu-like. So they left, and Sonya actually started to feel like she got this headache that started to come on, and then at one point her stomach became uneasy, like a cramp kind of thing, and then that kind of passed, and she sat there. By the time we left, her headache was horrendous, so a terrible headache, but some of the other symptoms were starting to let up. And so the plan is that we will go back tomorrow to this same doctor. He's going to do that same test with her again. We left the fish there in their freezer, which is pretty cool. And so we test that same fish. If she passes that test, then we will go on looking for other substances that she may have allergies to as well. Why am I telling all this story? Because I know there are people who have insane allergies out there, you know, like peanut allergies and those kinds of things. And gosh, this was $80 for us to do this. If it works, it's the best $80 we've ever spent. If it doesn't, it's only $80, right? But the testimonials are amazing. This doctor told about his daughter, who is now a college senior, who almost died when she was like 3 years old because of this insane milk allergy. And that's really why he got into learning how to do this, was so that he could help his daughter. And he was just hoping to maybe save her life. You know, he figured if maybe if he had an extra 5 to 10 minutes to treat her in an anaphylactic episode, that, you know, it would save her life. Ends up, I guess, that she's a lot better than that, even now consumes the milk products and so forth. And we heard a lot more stories like that. So if you know somebody who has extreme allergies or any allergies, I would say at least look into it, right? It's based on more of a Chinese understanding of medicine than an American understanding. I'm open to that. Basically, if it works, I'm open to it, right? So, yeah, thanks for listening in. It's called NAET, N-A-E-T. I think you can just go to NAET.com. I believe that we looked that up. But anyway, you know, Google. You know how to Google stuff. And that's the beautiful eastern plains of Colorado behind me. Isn't it gorgeous? All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye-bye.